Hey everyone, it's Lara from the blog OurEarlyHouse.com, and today I'm going to be talking grocery budget. So since posting a few of my grocery haul videos and talking about how we strive for that once a month grocery trip, I have had so many messages about our grocery budget and how I budget that in, how much I spend. And so I thought I would just do a sit down video and kind of talk to you guys about that. So first off, I'm gonna say that we are not very tight budgeters. So if you have seen some of my previous videos, we are completely debt free, and so we have our house paid off and everything. So obviously we do budget, but it's more of a naturally kind of, not like, I don't want to say that we're like naturally just, we don't even need a budget. I don't want to say that. But me and my husband are both very naturally frugal. And so for us to sit down and write out every single thing we're going to spend month to month isn't something that we necessarily have to do. Now, I do think that having a budget written out for some people is necessary. We pretty much only buy what we need. So as far as like an actual strict set out budget, I do not have that. But when I go to the store, I do have a more set out list, an idea of what I want to help me to stick to the budget that we don't actually have like written out, but the amount that I know that we can spend per month. So I do know that every single month we have to make a certain amount of money just to live, to pay for gas, electric, taxes, food to feed the kids, you know, all the necessity things. And so I have to stay within that budget every month, but I don't break down everything in particular categories saying, you know, this much here, this much there. Now, if you are a person that likes to break things down more and you're more of a strict budget, I would highly recommend Dave Ramsey. He has a podcast you can listen to. He has a lot of good information for that. Now, that was my little rabbit trail there, but now back into the grocery budget. So there are several things that I do to keep us on a budget while I'm grocery shopping. So I like to feed my family healthy. Obviously, I'm sure you do too. Everyone kind of strives for that healthy eating. No one's perfect. We do obviously buy things that aren't perfectly healthy, but I like to stick to a healthy, whole foods, organic diet. And when I show my grocery hauls, I have all this food sitting out. I have 7 people in my family. I'm buying for the month. It adds up, and everyone's worried about and wondering, how much am I spending per month? So first thing that I do, and I think is the most important thing that you can do, is have a list. So when I go to the grocery store for my 1 month grocery haul, I have a list of what I need. Now, I am not a meal planner. I just simply lay out meat at the beginning of the week, and then I always have defrosted meat, and I just go off of that for my recipes. So when I go to the grocery store, I know that I'm buying lots of meat, lots of vegetables. So I try to stick to the going around the outside of the grocery store and just skipping all those middle aisles to skip out on impulse buys that I might want to buy if I'm going down the middle aisles. On the outside, that's where you're gonna get like your bread, your milk, your cheese, your produce, and your meat, or at least that's how it is at almost all grocery stores around here. Now, another thing that I do and I find really saves money is I like to look for things that are in season and buy in bulk. And so this only is gonna work if you have storage for this. So if you have a basement or a cellar somewhere that's dry and dark where you can store produce, or a deep freezer where you can store frozen goods. So for an example, we eat a lot of smoothies around here, and frozen fruit can be expensive. So if I go to the grocery store and buy a bag of just organic frozen strawberries, blueberries, it's expensive. So what I like to do to cut down on the price of frozen fruit is I like to buy fruit that's in season, buy it in bulk, and then freeze it myself. So for example, in November around Thanksgiving, you can buy bags of cranberries for like 45 cents. At least here where I live, at Aldi, they have bags of cranberries for less than $1, really cheap. I will buy like 50 bags of those cranberries and I will freeze them. So then for here on out, we'll be eating a lot of cranberry smoothies rather than having to buy frozen fruit that's not in season. Bananas are also another thing that's really cheap that are really good in smoothies. So whenever I see bananas that are cheaper, discounted because they are overripe, I will buy all of those and I will peel them, cut them in half, put them in freezer safe bags or containers and freeze them, and then we'll have bananas in our smoothies. So you can save a lot by buying in bulk and buying what is in season. Okay, my next tip is about organic. So I mentioned I like to buy organic food. Now, a really, really good rule of thumb and something that you want to look up, and I will link it down in the description box below, is the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list. So things that are on the Dirty Dozen list are things that need to be bought organically, and things that are on the Clean 15 list are things that can be bought regular and not organic. So that's a really, really good way to save money. So when I very first got married and was grocery shopping, I remember I had the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list in my wallet, and I would pull them out of the grocery store when I was in the produce section, and I would only buy the things that were on the Dirty Dozen list. Now I have it completely memorized, so I know which vegetables I have to buy organically and which ones I can buy non-organic. So if you know that list, you can definitely save a lot and still buy organic by only having to buy some of your produce with organic vegetables. And also, if you are in a really tight budget and buying organic is out of the option, then just stick to that Clean 15 list so you don't have to purchase anything organic at all. My next tip is probably pretty obvious, but one I want to mention is checking for sales. I do a lot of my shopping at Aldi, and when I get the weekly ad, when I see what produce they have on there, I kind of will stick to those produces are going to be the things that I buy. And so, for example, we eat a ton of avocados here, and I already know that avocados are cheaper here than they are in some places because I get so many comments about how much avocados cost in other areas of the country. But here we can get avocados pretty cheap, and so I only will buy them when I see them on the Aldi ad when they're less than 50 cents an avocado, and then I'll buy a ton of them to buy them in bulk. So you can watch your ads and buy according to what's on sale for that week. Now, maybe you'll be eating some of the same meals, but you'll be eating healthy and on a budget. So that's kind of another thing that I do, is I will buy what is on the ads that I see that is cheaper in bulk, and then we'll just kind of eat that for that month. And another tip I have is to buy local from you. You will be surprised if you started looking around and digging that there's probably some local farmers in your area, even if you live in a city, if you just drive out a little bit. So for us, where we live, we have a dairy farm really close by where we can get our milk for a good price. We have local cattle farmer, a local pig farmer where we can get a lot of our meat from. Now, we even drive about an hour out to an Amish community that is north of us, because there we can get in bulk things like organic oatmeal and coconut oil and honey. They also have chicken and cheese, and it is a little bit of a drive, but if I go there, we stock up and spend a lot when we go, but we'll buy enough to last us for about a year when we drive there, so we're not driving there all the time. But if you do some digging, like I said, you might have to drive a little bit, but if you can save up in your budget in order to buy bulk for the year, it would be worth it for you to drive there to get healthier options at a cheaper price. My next tip is to grow your own food yourself. Now, obviously this isn't going to be a tip for everybody, but if you live in an area where you can have a garden, obviously plant a garden, grow you some vegetables, freeze them, preserve them, so you can have free produce all year long. Now, even if you live in an apartment or in the city, you can easily have an herb garden in your windowsill and grow fresh herbs. If you go and buy rosemary and basil and thyme and all those different herbs that you need for certain recipes at the grocery store, that can really add up. So having just an herb garden can save you money. So if you don't have room to have your own chickens to get eggs, or a garden to grow all your own produce, you can at least grow a few herbs in an apartment even to save money. So whatever you can grow yourself, obviously that's gonna be another great way to save money. Okay, so my next tip is to think about when you're cooking what the most expensive meal item is, and try to make it stretch further. So for an example, for us, typically the most expensive part of the meal is the meat that I'm having. So if we're having something that has meat with it, I will try to stretch the meal further by adding some other filler things, so then everyone will eat a little less meat, or maybe just one serving of meat. So with the main thing being meat, let's say I'm making some steaks. Okay, steaks are kind of expensive, and I want everybody to only have to have one steak steak rather than them have to come back to for seconds to have 2 steaks. So I will serve a lot of sides with this meal, like sliced avocados, because I can get those at a reasonable price and they're very filling. Maybe make some type of rice or bean side dish. Potatoes are cheap and filling. So think about items that you can serve with your meals that are really filling, that don't cost a lot. So then you can make less of the more expensive item and make that stretch further into maybe another meal. Those are kind of the things that I do to grocery shop on a budget. But like I said, I don't particularly write every single thing down. I know that when I go to the store that I'm gonna be sticking to a ton of produce. I get a lot of my meat from local farmers. I stock up my freezers, I stock up my basement, and then we just eat off of things that I found that were on sale and things that I can find local to me for a cheaper price. Now I have an ebook where I talk all about buying organic foods on a budget, so I will put that in the description box below so you can grab that, print that off, take it with you the next time you go shopping, so you can have all of my tips right there in front of you. So hopefully you can make your next trip to the grocery store a little bit cheaper. Hopefully this video is helpful for you and you're able to buy some healthy food on a budget. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. I get out new videos every single week, and I would love to have you here as a YouTube subscriber. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.